out of a nature documentary. As I said at the start, I love your brand, I really do. It's just such a shame that a simple thing could bring it crashing down to its knees and begging for sustenance. Yours sincerely, XXX. Have you written an amusing complaints letter about a travel experience? If so, please send us a copy via my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. If you've already posted it online, please tweet me the link at holiday_hut, or you could email it to radio@setclosesounds.org.
Fitness Bites, the show which gets you raring to go for the week ahead. Join Anna
and Julia every Monday 1 till 2 p.m. on Seclo Sounds, the ultimate show discussing exercise, nutrition and well-being.
Fitness Bites on Seclo Sounds, Mondays 1 till 2 p.m. Tune in and move it!
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it.
You're listening to the John Guinn Travel Show on setclosesounds.org. You can contact the show via facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show or via Twitter, which is @holiday_hut. On my last show, I mentioned about the itineraries that visitlondon.com offer, which you can download or print off from the website. But there are disadvantages to this type of touring. You really need a good understanding of the local area to make sure you don't miss out on anything. So an alternative is to have a guide. So I spoke to Mary from London Walks to find out why a guide on a walking tour is the best way to see parts of London.
Well, basically, our walking tours last about 2 hours, and they are a walk in London, either in an area, or it might be on a particular theme, like Charles Dickens or the Beatles or Jack the Ripper. And there'll be historical tours, and you walk and stop. You don't cover too much ground, but there'll be lots of history and things as you go along.
Why is a guided walking tour better than just following a book or a printed web page?
Well, if you are following a book, you spend all your time trying to find the place. It could have moved, things could have changed, you're never quite sure if you're looking at the right thing, and you waste an awful lot of time sort of looking up and looking down. Whereas with a guide, they take you exactly where you've got to go. They know what's new, what's different, what's changed, can point out little details. So we think that's by far the best way to see anywhere.
It does sound the best way, that's for sure. How does a walking tour compare to being on a bus?
Oh, it's infinitely better. A bus tour, first of all, you're completely in control. Okay. So you can stop outside the most important place. You can go round the corner, little alleyways, little streets that a bus can't even go down. On a bus, you're always at the mercy of the traffic. And what can happen is you can whiz past something that's really interesting and then be stuck somewhere that's, rather dull. Also, from a bus, it's actually not very easy to see when you're in a city like this. It's all right. I mean, you can see if you're like on the top of a bus, an open top, those sort of buses, you can see things. But if you're in a coach, you're looking out the sides, so you can only see something when it's sort of directly up against it, and then you miss it if it goes past quickly. So you can see 100 times better if you're walking.
I guess looking out of a bus window is like watching it on the telly, isn't it?
Yeah, well, or, it's all right, say, for instance, if you're out in the countryside or something like that, where you've got more of a panorama view and that you might need a bus to get from A to B. But in a city, you don't get that view, and you can actually not see things very easily often. It's all right if you're the driver at the front of the bus, you can see. Yeah. But from the sides, or you might be sitting on the wrong side of what you're passing. so on. So definitely in a town or a city, it's infinitely better to walk.
Okay. Who are London Walks?
Well, the company was actually founded in the 1960s by an Australian who's since gone back to Australia, and he realised, like sometimes when you're a visitor to a place, you discover these things that there wasn't really anyone offering these walking tours. So David and I run it now, and we took it over from someone who'd taken it over from this Australian, and so we've been running it nearly 20 years.
It's a fair while, isn't it?
Yeah.
When it comes to your guides, how do you choose them?
Well, they come from a variety of ways. Some of them are what we call blue badge guides, which means they're fully qualified, they're sort of full-time guides. Otherwise, they could be a specialist in a particular area. For instance, our guide who does the Beatles walk is sort of the world's leading expert on the Beatles. We often have actors. They make very good guides because obviously, some of the important things for a guide is to be able to be heard, use a good voice, paint a picture with words. So there's all sorts of factors that come into making a good guide.
How long would a walk last on average?
The general walks last 2 hours. That's more or less what people can take at one time, to be honest, because although it's not tough walking, you are on your feet all that time. The pub walks that we do are a little bit longer because they, involve stopping at a pub for a drink on the way, but generally the walks are 2 hours long.
What if somebody wants to go on one of your tours but they couldn't walk for 2 hours?
Well, most of the walks are accessible by in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. So if they're in a wheelchair, the guides will try and find places where people can sit, but that's not always possible. So we do have to say that although it's not at all fast or tough walking, but you do need to be able to stand for that long.
When it comes to the starting point of the walk, how would somebody find it? Is it easy?
Yeah, we have all our walks start from underground station exits because that's how most people obviously get around. So we always meet outside at street level, and if there's more than one exit at a station, then we'll say which exit it is that we meet outside. And the guides will be there, and they'll just be holding up the White London Walks leaflet, and they don't have to book, they just come along.
So it's quite foolproof then?
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll still come out the wrong exit. I normally do.
Well, it happens sometimes, but if you read the leaflet, you shouldn't go wrong.
Okay. What's the most popular walk that you do?
Without question, the most popular walk is Jack the Ripper, which is a bit sad, really, isn't it? But that is the case. We run that every night, and we also do it additionally at 3 o'clock on Saturdays.
Do you say who the Ripper is at the end?
No, because that's why it's so popular, I think, is because it's an unsolved mystery.
So that's the most popular walk. What's your personal favourite?
Well, I've got a few. I quite like ones that are slightly more unusual. A lovely walk we do is the Old Palace Quarter, which is around the St James's area. Hampstead, which is, the most villagey part of London.
Yeah.
We do a very nice walk called the Along the Thames Pub Walk, and that's a good walk, partly because it's one of the few walks that's not on a road, so it's along the river, and that's always nice to get away from traffic, and it's got great views, and there's lots of early history, and the river, the Thames, is the reason that London is here in the first place. Another great walk is Legal London around the Inns of Court, and anything in the city, because the city is, of course, the oldest part of London, and that's always full of history and nooks and crannies.
Do you have any new walks planned for the future?
Well, we're always looking into new walks, so we have them. We have some sections in our leaflet that we call the repertory walks that are at the weekend, where we run 4 walks that only go occasionally, like twice a year, so that they don't stand up to going all that time. For instance, we have a James Bond walk. A new walk that we've done this summer is a street art walk for Banksy around Shoreditch that way. So we're always looking for new walks and ideas. For instance, Harry Potter isn't so new now, but at one time it wasn't here. So we're always looking for new new things.
How can the listeners find out more about London Walks?
The best thing is to go to our website, which is www.walks.com, and everything is listed there.
Yep.
And if they contact us, we can send them a leaflet if they'd like that, or you can pick the leaflet up from... We've always got them in the crypt of St. Martin's in the Field Church in Trafalgar Square. So we're pretty easy to find.
One final question. What's it like when it's raining?
Well, we do go whatever the weather.
Okay.
So it's, you couldn't run walks in London and stop for the weather. But it's interesting, I've been guiding a long time, 25 more actually, nearly 30 years, and there's only been about 15 to 20 walks in that time where it's rained for the whole time, because usually here the weather does change, and so if it's raining at the beginning, it's usually stopped by the end of the walk.
Right, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yesterday's reckless, telling